All right, welcome. It's the Lo-Fi Check-In, episode 2. We made it to 2 episodes.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Sunday.
So we'll see if we get to number 3. So,
we will. We will.
For sure. I mean, who's going to stop us? We're in a spare bedroom, broadcasting. You know, we could be going all over the world right now. We're not. Anyway, welcome to the Lo-Fi Check-In. We want to say, first of all, we hope you're doing very well. We hope you're being advocates for yourself in your mental health, and that you've had a good week and good weekend, and you're getting ready for tomorrow. Mondays are always kind of a thing.
This is your weekend, and you're coming off of it. Yes.
Mondays are. We're going to talk about triggers. So Monday,
I've got some triggers.
Yeah, we got some triggers. Anyway, but first, what we kind of want to do is have a little segment where we talk about mental health that's been in the news. And now we know that mental health and mental illness, whenever it's in the news, it's usually a negative thing. I mean, somebody
Correct.
did something and they had an episode, and that's generally, when you look back through kind of the history of mental illness and media, and there's a lot of information, let me tell you. Most of the reporting, most of the depictions of mentally ill people, like in Hollywood, are basically negative stereotypes. And if you hear a dog, that's because we have a dog.
And we just don't have a dog. We have 3.
3 dogs. And so they're going to take turns barking as we're doing this. You know what? It's lo-fi.
It's life.
It's Luffy. So anyway, but I saw some news this week with the Olympics going on. Kind of a big deal as far as the world of sports. NBC did a news story about how young Black athletes are starting a mental health revolution, which is super positive. And really, it's because they're under so much pressure. And I think it started with Naomi Osaka. She's a tennis player, and basically she refused to give interviews after the matches at the French Open and Wimbledon. Because a lot of the reporters, ask stupid questions, or
True.
They put her on the spot. And why did you miss that shot? Or, whatever it is. I don't know tennis. So, I mean, why didn't you jump over the net? Or I don't know what the question was. But I mean, they're under so much scrutiny normally, and then they have to do it. So
they're in the spotlight.
Yeah. And so, but it's a mental, I mean, there's so much pressure on them to perform. So there's a sprinter for the U.S., Lyles, I forget his last name. He's an outspoken proponent of Noah Lyles. No, I forget the name Noah. We have a son named Noah. It's like, what's his name? Anyway, said, he takes antidepressants and is very outspoken about his mental health. And so, yeah. So there's some young Black athletes that are coming out that are saying, hey, this is an issue. Mental health is important and we need to take care of it. And I'm all for it. So good. That's good, positive movement on that front. So anyway, it's what we put ourselves through, what we put ourselves under. And one of the big things, and really the topic of today, is triggers. And there's a lot of triggers. Triggers are everywhere. I'm not going to say the coffee's hot. I know I did already.
You told them not to say that.
I know, totally. So let's talk about triggers for a minute. What are triggers? How do we recognize them? What do we do with them? The whole deal. And I did mention Monday, for a lot of people who don't deal with depression, Sunday's kind of one of those days that, well, Sunday's great because we're not working, but Monday we work and then it all starts over again. And so Monday could often be a trigger for people. But there's different, depending on where you are in life, whether you're fully affected by depression, whether you just have anxiety, whether you don't have anything, you just, there's some things that are going to be kind of a depressive for everybody, no matter what. If you suffer a loss, if someone passes away, if you lose a job, if you, there's some real things in life.
It's a huge spectrum.
Yeah. So you don't have to be on that spectrum to deal with triggers.
Right.
Because literally, if you are a normal, well put together individual and you lose someone who's close to you, that's going to be a trigger for sure. But I'm more talking about the triggers that we experience over and over and over again, because it's life. Often life is a trigger. For me, I have many triggers. Expected kind of. Yeah, you have a lot of.
I'm not going to say it.
I know.
I'm going to be good.
So I mean, but I do. I mean, when you deal with depression, triggers are everywhere because at some point, many other things have led to depression. I mean, I have certain smells that I'll go across, especially seasonally, that will lead to periods where it's like, oh yeah, that I remember that really sucked.
The smells for me are always, for most of mine are good triggers when there's certain smells for me. That is
right, like coffee or fresh baked bread or something. There's or the smell, that first smell of rain.
The leaves of autumn and
right. Yeah, and
there's
so
good smells.
So there's definitely good things too. We don't really call them triggers because they don't. I mean, but even though they do trigger emotions and
happy, sad.
Yeah, and so the whole idea is, as we talk about proactivity in mental health, is understanding what your major triggers are and sharing them with people around you. So they're understanding, so they're awareing what's going they're awareing what's going on, aware of what's going on, and that you may need a little extra support. And so, I talk about it, at length with Lisa, but I mean, example in my life is our son, Josh. Josh is an amazing young man. He's highly impacted by autism, and it's really played havoc in our lives from time to time, especially growing up, and it's led to PTSD. His growing up.
Not
us. Well, I mean, we were growing up too. I mean, we did a lot of growing up in those, while he was growing up. But he's an absolute trigger for me because he, with Josh, you don't know what you're going to get, but he's been awesome. And I just, I hate to bring him up into the situation, but he's one of my biggest triggers, and Lisa absolutely knows that.
And I did not know that until I read Rod's book. Excuse me.
Right.
So now if I do certain, like when I know I have to give Josh a haircut, clip toenails, fingernails, I mean, they can do that where he's at, but they kind of rely on me to do it because he doesn't
mom
mess
likes
with
to do
mom,
it. Yeah.
I do it right. Not saying they do it wrong. I just, never mind.
Yeah. She likes to do it.
I tell Rod, okay, this is going to happen this time. So I said, why don't you just go for an hour and a half, so I can get the job done without him hearing Josh in here yelling, screaming. He hasn't done it lately, but he will try to come after me, or he targets things, but it's just different with me than it is with him. So I try to get him out of the house, go away. And sometimes he'll call me. It's like, is it done? It's done.
Is it clear?
Is it clear?
Coast
Did
is
you
clear.
get hurt? No, just a few little gashes on my arm. Not gashes, just grab.
Yeah, he likes to scratch and pinch, and he used to bite.
You can't act like it hurts.
No, show no pain. Show no pain. Anyway, so Josh is a big, but the thing is, we can't remove Josh. I mean, we can't. He's part of our lives. He's our son. And so this is an example of.
He does not live here with us.
He does not live here, but he visits often. And really we want him to be a big part of our lives, always. And so this is a trigger you can't really remove. So what do? You leave while, if things are going to escalate, perhaps, if there's a chance. And really you just, there's very little that you can do other than have the best attitude that you can. Now, one of the things that, and we'll encourage people to do this as we go through, something that helps with triggers across the board is really just your general state of being, meaning that if you're taking care of yourself, if you're not drinking a lot, if you're just doing the things that control your own stress day to day, then you're in a better place to handle the triggers that happen. Because here's the deal: you can't avoid triggers. And like a lot of times you think you can avoid, but they find a way around through, they find a way to you, even if you are very much methodical about your planning and how you go about your day. Triggers are going to happen. And so the best thing is to be aware of them. What are they? And then try the best you can to avoid them, but always be talking to somebody, always be taking care of yourself, be exercising. If you're not in an exercise regimen, start taking walks, start taking care of yourself. You take care of your body. It helps take care of your mind. And then you become more strengthened to handle those triggers, situations when they arise. But never,
they're never going to go away. We've been out and about, and there'll be a certain noise, and it's like, I know the noise, but it doesn't trigger me, but I know it triggered him. It's a noise that Josh will make, or something
will break out of, and it'll be like, whoa, and so that's the main thing. And keep talking. Keep talking with the people that you love about how you're feeling, because in doing that, you're bringing it to light, and we all need to do that. So please always be talking. That's rule number one. So if we set up a rule number one, always be talking.
Don't stop talking.
Yeah. So that's going to be on the test.
Or if you need to just take a little 5-minute break if there's escalation going on. Most people know this, but walk away for a little bit and come back instead of saying angry words, which I've done many times. Some of them I regret, some I don't.
Yeah, this was like 5 minutes. No, it wasn't 5 minutes ago.
About 20 minutes.
Yeah,
ago.
20 minutes ago. So it's ancient history. So anyway, with that, if you need to get a hold of us for any reason, please reach out. We have an email address, and that's notokayisokai@gmail.com. We would love to talk to you. And other than that, I think, is there anything else that you needed to bring up?
No. Until next time.
Triggers are real. Take them seriously.
Keep talking.
Talk yourself through them, and take care of yourself, because generally speaking, that's the best choice you have. Is if you are in a better mental state before that happens, you're going to be way better off in handling that. So anyway, we're going to come back at you next week with another little topic. But other than that, just keep going forward. Keep pushing forward. Never give up.
Never give up.
All right. Peace out, people.
Have a wonderful Sunday. Have a great week.
All right.
If it's your week.
Take care.